Good evening. This is Sebrena Sumrah Kelly coming to you live from Decatur, Georgia with Caribbean Live TV. We are going to bring you another installment of Caribbean Live as we impact lives, as we remind you of the heritage of your culture, our entertainment, food. This installment, I'm talking with an interesting young lady I met quite some time ago, and the topic we're going to be discussing is about genealogy. As you know, many of us are immigrants in this beautiful country of America, and this topic today will shed light on exactly where those genetics and genealogy and lineage comes from. So come on in with me as I chat with Miss Alison Ryce today. Hello, Alison. How are you?
Hello, I'm well. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, I was just talking about this subject matter. I talked about my grandmother being from Barbados, myself being born in American Guyana, here now in America. But when I was told who you were, I said, I know that young lady. Because as you know, we did networking events here in Atlanta. And just to see your journey, Alison, and that to say that, you know, coming from corporate America, being in business, and now this journey that has got you, you know, on this path. I'm so proud of you. And to see you've pretty much remained the course. And as I always say, we keep evolving in everything that we do. So I'm excited to talk to you about this matter and even what got you started. So first of all, I want to acknowledge your lapel. As you can see, it says Trinidad and Tobago. That's where she's from.
Yes, that's where I was born.
So tell us about who Alison is.
Okay, well, I'm Alison Ryce, and I'm from Trinidad, and I am my family's historian. So I've been working on my family tree for 10 years now, so this year is my 10-year anniversary, and I'm extremely excited about that.
Now, you said a word, historian.
Yes.
And when I heard of this interview I will be doing with you, I thought about Louis Henry Gates. If you know him, he does the PBS genealogy. And I said, to even hear your name in the same breath as him was even profound and just proud. And to even figure out why you wanted to do something like that, because a lot of us, we want to know. I want to know. So as we were talking, you let's talk a little bit more before we get into that, though. I mean, you're here in Atlanta, Georgia. You've been here. How long you've been here?
I've been here since 2008.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. What brought you?
Family. A lot of family live here, so we just moved with the family. So it started in Trinidad. They moved to New York, and then we moved along to New York as well, and they moved to Atlanta, and you know, so
started a life, huh?
Yes.
Right, and then we always say we're still born Trini, or born Guyanese, but we come here for better life and to see what America has to offer. Most of us do. And so you've been in high school here. You grew up.
Yes, I actually moved to the United States on my 6th birthday.
Oh, wonderful. So you've been here.
Yes, I've been here. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
Didn't we all? Same here. You know, and then here we are in Atlanta and continue on with our lives. Family, have children, husband, anything?
Not yet.
Not yet. You're still very young.
Oh yes,
live your life.
Yes,
live your life.
I'm definitely doing that.
Yes. And you're and I you know, again, Alison, I've been knowing you since I started doing this stuff, and to see again, I talk about evolving in steps of your life that God gave you, and sometimes you realize what you were here for is not really what you're living.
That's
so
true.
I think as you engage in this journey that is life, you will see that other things will be calling you, right? As we know. So, and we're going to dive into that here in a second. So, historian.
Yes.
That is that's a word for somebody like you to even take on, right? Yes. So you didn't even realize you were taking it on.
No, not at all.
So tell us what made that become a reality for you.
Wow. Well, it started when I was 16. I went to a family reunion, and we had a good time. I enjoyed seeing family. I had no expectations but to see family and have a good time. But one night, my family got together and they built a family tree. They had a huge board, and they just started building branches. And then that night, it was a huge presentation where one of my uncles, he just started calling the names of all of our ancestors, and I was very excited about it, and it felt really good. And then after the family reunion, it seemed like that tree just disappeared. No one knows where it is. No one knew where it went. So fast forward, I said, you know what? I want to start a family tree, and I wanted to create a family tree where my entire family would have access to it. So, you know, thanks to the internet, we have that now. So I just started building, and I started calling all of my older family members and just getting all the information I could possibly get. And 10 years later, now I have over 1,000 family members on the tree.
Now, let's talk about our elders in our family, because you know, some of them are not willing to talk about things and bring up certain things. Did you go to an elder in your family, maybe with your thoughts, and what did they say?
Well, at first, sometimes, especially for elders that did not know me, I would introduce myself as I'm the daughter of so-and-so, the granddaughter of so-and-so, because a lot of times, you know, with identity theft, people might be saying, why do you want my name? Why do you want when I was born, or where I was born? You know, so you do see that in the beginning. But I mean, what I do is I just try to introduce myself and make sure I let them know I am, you know, who I am and what my intentions are. So I let them know that I've just been hearing stories of Auntie so-and-so made the best pillow, Auntie so-and-so made the best callaloo, and different things like that, and then no one will know how to make it because, you know, Auntie so-and-so passed away, and those things are gone forever, you know, and especially me growing up in the United States, and I'm thinking about the future generation. Most likely I will have children here, you know, so I want them to have something where we can still hold on to our culture, you know, because they have a rich culture, and I want them to know about it. So,
and I think and then we'll talk more about children and all of that, where you're coming from and all of that. I think I know when I thought about this matter, I knew I had to get to an elder, because they would kind of steer me in the right direction where to even begin the process. So that's why I asked, how did the elder receive that? Some are not willing to even bring up because of, you know, maybe some not so good times. But it is good to know, and I think they would cherish and appreciate it when they realize how that can help the entire family, and to know where you come from. It always goes back to that. So when you were, I believe you told me you were at an event, and then you said you're going to start this process. Mother, of course. So you have siblings?
Yes, I have 4 siblings.
So how did your mother, when you told her, because are both your parents from Trinidad?
Well, they both grew up in Trinidad. My dad was born in Trinidad, but my mother was born in St. Vincent. But she migrated to Trinidad when she was 10.
That's another thing we're going to talk about, because that alone, as we all know, goodness, we can say, hey, we were born here, but you see how quickly one of your parents is not even from where you were even born. So you already know where that's going to lead you as you do your search, right? In terms of lineage. My goodness. And as we know, we'll even touch on this. Slavery, of course, is a part, is a vital piece of this whole equation as it relates to us and where we're from, because it goes back there. And of course, we were dispersed all throughout the world. And so even to hear that, one parent is from Trinidad, one from St. Vincent, would already let you know that you're going to meet some folks that is all a part of you. Wow. So we're going to come back, and we're going to touch on some more things, but just talking to you alone, I'm getting chills, because I know my folks, Guyanese, Barbados, East India, you know, I want to know that. So it's good to know someone this close to me can help me start my journey and my search of where I am from. So we're going to come on back. Let's take a commercial break, guys. This is a topic I think many of you will probably say, you know what, I do want to know where I'm from, because many of us are scattered all over the place, all over the globe, and I think Alison's journey here is going to help even mend families and bring them together, because it's such a powerful thing, and information we should know exactly who we are. So we're going to come on right back. Stay with us, and I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. I'm Sebrena Sumrah Kelly again. We're talking with Miss Alison Ryce from the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago, and we're talking genealogy today. So you're going to see this full interview if you had missed us on the first take. We're going to pick back up where we left off and dive in some more with this genetics and lineage and where we come from. So, Alison, we talked about what got you started, resistance, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Let's talk about benefits. How can someone benefit from them? And of course we know the answer, but I want you to tell me, because of course you are the historian, you did the research, you know what this can do to families.
Oh yeah, there's so many benefits in researching your own family's history. I can talk about, for me personally, it gave me a sense of pride that I really cannot describe. You know, when you learn about where you came from and things that your family members have survived, what they have accomplished, you know, and then you start finding different people in history that had to do with you. For example, in my grandmother's documents, I actually saw a letter that was written to Shirley Chisholm, which was, you know, she was the first black congresswoman. Yes. And she had some part in my grandmother getting her papers so that she can enter the United States. So it's because of Shirley Chisholm. And I've learned about her in school, but I had no idea.
Well, a lot of us, you know, I remember we grew up in Brooklyn as well, a lot of us when we came here, and we didn't hear much about Shirley until I actually, like I told you, I would go to anything African. I wanted to know what was going on with African and African Americans, because, you know, we Caribbeans come in here, we didn't quite understand what oppression and all of those things were, so I got intrigued, and then find out this woman is of Caribbean descent. My gosh. So, and the word pride, I want to touch on that a little bit more. So just that alone, you know, people always say, oh, my family don't have this, don't have that, but it comes back to genealogy and lineage with pride, you know. So that's one of the things I always admire, that to know exactly what I'm a part of. So we're going to also touch on Africa. You mentioned, which obviously Africa has to be a part of this. Because that's where we know, where everything pretty much started. So what did you find out?
Okay, so because of the slave trade, you know, a lot of documents were just lost or not even documented at all. So I really wanted to know, you know, what connections I had and my family had to Africa. So I did turn to genetics, which, oh my gosh, it was life-changing for me. You know, and what I did was I took a DNA test and I submitted it to 2 different companies, and I ended up getting back African cousins. And I reached out to my African cousins who are, you know, 5th, 6th cousins. I reached out to them and I had conversations with them. And I want to mention one. He's from Togo. And we had, the first time we spoke for 4 hours straight. That was not planned at all, but we just spoke for 4 hours. And he mentioned in his family story, he mentioned that his family moved, his family lived more midland in the 1500s, and then they moved to the coast around that time, right? And then he also mentioned of a woman in his family line way back. And the story in his family was that woman disappeared and she never came back home. They never found her. They don't know what happened to her. And he said, you know what, I truly believe in talking to you. I truly believe deep down in my heart that she survived. And I think you could be one of her descendants. And that just made me cry. And in speaking to him, you know, it made me realize one thing. We think about us and what our ancestors go through, but we didn't think about what they left behind, you know, the mothers, the fathers, the siblings, you know, aunts, uncles, who they left behind, and how did they feel with their loved ones' disappearance, you know. So it was just so beautiful.
You know, slavery, and of course that topic goes on to infinity, because there's so much still we don't know. And you and I chatted about separation. And again, I'm going to use the word disbursement, because they pretty much placed us all over. And this journey that you're on, this task that you took on, I think will mend some of those thoughts of where did I come from, but also what is left behind in the diaspora, right? So that's one of the things that I am really concerned about. So I cannot really wait to even dive in some more with you. We're going to take a break again, and we're going to come on back. We're going to talk about what may have surprise you or shock you, and where you're going to go with this, because I understand that you have a large following, and I think people need to know. And of course, Caribbean Life TV is going to help you even expand that following a little bit more. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to come on right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Again, this is Sebrena Sumrah Kelly. I'm talking with Alison Ryce. We're talking genealogy. And so, Alison, where we left off, we were talking about how you've been doing this, how long you've been doing this. Let's talk about back to St. Vincent with mom, or dad, right? Dad. Mom.
Yes.
So, anything you found with that, with tracing anybody back there?
Oh my gosh. When I say St. Vincent is such a beautiful country, the untouchable beauty that's there, it's so amazing. And when I landed there, it just felt so good. You know, this is where my mom was born. This is where my grandmother's from. This is where my great-grandmother's from. This is where my great-great-grandmother was from. You know, so just being there and just knowing, oh my gosh, this is a part of my family history, it made me so happy. One of the biggest things that stand out for me in St. Vincent was when I got there, the first thing that hit me, because I was there with a friend, and I said I wanted to meet my family. So we just told the taxi driver, I said, my grandmother has a brother here that lives in, and I told him the town, and we drove to that town and we searched for him, and then that day we found him. So he walked towards the van that I was sitting in, and when he came into my sight, I literally saw my grandmother's face, and I instantly fell in love with him. You know, to see a perfect stranger and then to see you, to see your family in that person's face, it's a feeling that will never go away. You know, so that was my great uncle, and I met my other great uncle. So that time, the first time that I went, I met my grandmother's brother and then my grandfather's brother as well. So it was such a beautiful thing.
So let me ask you now, you know, some of us, even mom, won't know all her relatives and so on. Did you find out anything that she probably did not know?
Yes. I went to the birth certificate registrar, and one person that was there, she was very, very nice to me. She was, I spoke to her, I told her, I said, look, I live in the United States, I'm here in St. Vincent, and I want to learn more about my family, and this is where my mom was from. And she really took the time to sit with me, and I appreciate her so much. She sat with me and she looked through all the birth records, and she found my mother's birth certificate, which was easy. You know, she found my grandmother's birth certificate, then she found my great-grandmother's birth certificate. Yes, and then my great-great-grandmother. And my mother did not know the name of her great-great-grandmother.
And you told her?
Yes, we found their marriage records when they got married in the 1800s, and I got to learn my great-grandmother's siblings, and I was able to add so many different people to my family tree because of that one visit to St. Vincent. So I'm forever grateful for that trip.
So did you talk to grandma about some of that?
Well, I discovered that after she passed away. But before she passed away, because my grandmother, she was much older, so she was afraid of airplanes. So when I went to St. Vincent, she told me where her property was, because she owned property in St. Vincent. So we went down to the land, and I picked up breadfruit from her tree, right? and then I got someone to cook it, and they baked it underground for her. And then there's something in St. Vincent called chichi cake, right? It's these microscopic fishes that they catch, and they make, like, you know how in Trinidad and Guyana you have fish cake? They have chichi cake, and it's that same type of taste, but it's with these, it's like whole fish, but it's microscopic. So they made the chichi cake, and they got it made for me, and I wrapped it up and raw peanuts and everything from the land and all of that. And so when I flew back to New York, I gave it to my grandmother, and I just stood there and I just watched her eat everything, and she was just so happy, you know, to eat things from her land. You know, even though she was afraid of planes and she wasn't going, I felt glad knowing I was able to bring back something for her. So, oh my gosh,
That gives me chills as I'm listening to you. Because again, I mean, that's a whole other set of family that you just came in contact with. And you know what's even good about things like that? When you do embark on that, somebody will tell you something that probably the family never knew. Well, did you know your grandfather was this, or your great-grandmother was that? Somebody of importance, of influence in those small villages, you know? So, I mean, just that alone, just to hear that, when you thought you knew everything in Trinidad, right? And then you're in St. Vincent and there's a whole other world there, and people who know, and then of course family name is key, right? So when you say a name, oh, I know so-and-so, you know, they're ready to tell you. And then the thing about us too, you know, as Caribbeans, we embrace, right? So we're happy to know, I know your grandfather, I know your grandmother, you know, you love to hear that, tell me more. So, and they're probably, I'm sure, were welcoming of you. Very. And what you were doing also on the island. And so let's talk about something else that might have either shocked or surprised you in this journey and this search. Anything you can think of?
Wow. Well, the former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Patrick Manning, he's a cousin of mine. So I
Look at that.
Yes.
So you're talking lineage, right?
Yes.
Influence as well. Global influence.
Yes. Wow. I also have a cousin in St. Vincent who was knighted by the Queen. So he's a sir, you know, and so that's another thing that I found out, and I was able to pull up that information in an old newspaper where he did get his rights from the Queen, and there were so many things.
Now, what is that process like? If for the people who don't know what knighted by the Queen means, do you know?
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So he was a police officer in St. Vincent, and for his work in the police force and you know, making sure that the island was safe. And you know, St. Vincent was owned by England for a very long time. So most of us. So I was not surprised by that. But there were so many people that came before me that did remarkable things. And to watch these immigrants, and when I say immigrants, I mean as in they made the decision to move. For example, my mother's side migrated from Trinidad, from St. Vincent, and my father's side migrated from Barbados. And for them to migrate to Trinidad and work hard and own property, and to this day still have possessions to pass on to my generation, it makes me so proud.
Let me ask you, as we're talking migration, the mother side, did they say why they moved to Trinidad?
Well, at that time, Trinidad was more economically
That's what I thought
friendly.
you'd say. Yeah.
And then also, I did learn from doing my DNA testing and reading the history of the Caribbean, I did learn that after slavery, a lot of laws were made to make it difficult for former enslaved folks to own property. So a lot of people found it a lot easier to find work in Trinidad. So a lot of them, they migrated to Trinidad, or they went to Panama to work on the Panama Canal, different things like that.
And you see the correlation in all of this? I mean, this is all about picking up after slavery, because people have the notion that because we were free to do things. No, we were not. It was very much more difficult, and having to find a place that would welcome you, much less settle there and start your family there. So yes, there were some allies, if you will, countries and islands that would welcome some of those people, and this is how we end up where we ended up. You know, look at me. I ended up in Guyana, and then I've got East Indian, I've got Bajan, and so I as I'm listening to you, you're now seeing the pieces and where genealogy must be known, and it comes into play because it goes way back, and this can go back with even things as we're doing as adults. We have children that are a part of us, and their children, they need to know exactly, it didn't start in America, it started way back when, and this was the cause and the effect of what we're suffering from, some of us still, as we know, mentally, economically, I'll just say it, and just to know that you came from something, you stood for your ancestors, and you have to pay homage, let's just say, but to know what they have gone through, the sacrifices they've made, and so to benefit, even as we're here in America, we're still dealing with this stuff, but to know that you came from that, don't disrespect the legacy, don't disrespect what these people have gone through. So I think with what you're doing, Alison, it's amazing, but more so it will be a sense of somewhat of a closure, but at least you're putting face with population, location, and all of these things that go together as it relates to genealogy and lineage, and to know that, listen, as we always say, you come to America, don't disrespect the lineage, make us proud.
Yes.
But to know that you came from that already. Yes. There's no reason for failure. There's only reason to continue on, elevate, and be successful.
Definitely.
And embrace what your ancestors gave you.
Yes.
Right? And as we always say, continue to make them proud. To make them proud. So we're going to take one last break, and we're going to come back and we'll tell the audience where they can find you and how they can stay in touch with you, connect with you, because utilizing a media platform such as this, you know that others will be reaching out, and you know, we're going to talk some more about that. So we'll take our last break, and we'll come on back and wrap up with Miss Alison Ryce. Welcome back, everyone. I'm still talking with Alison Ryce as we're discussing genealogy. So, Alison, we're going to wrap up this segment with you. It's been fascinating talking to you.
Thank you.
It's been inspiring. So let me say, who will be inspired by what you're saying?
Oh wow! I want Caribbean folks, Caribbean folks, especially here living in the United States.
Yes.
I want to inspire them to look up their own family history.
Yes.
It's so important.
Yes.
It's so very important to know where you come from and the stories of the folks that have survived, so that you can be here today. You know, so I've learned so much in this journey, and it's been 10 years, but it didn't feel like 10 years because it just happened so quick. And the stories that I have, I can pass them on to other family members. I have older family members that I share the stories with, and they're fascinated to learn. You know, so it's a remarkable thing.
Well, you know, even as you talk about pride, listen, I don't know about you, but in my car, you will know I'm a Guyanese, okay? One of the things, and even my American friends and colleagues will say, why you always got that flag in the car, right? You can relate, right?
Yes.
Well, it's because we never forget where we come from.
Of course.
We know we're here, but that flag is always a reminder. But we know that's not even where we're from.
Yes.
We know that there's something deeper than that, farther than that, which comes back to genealogy and tracing where your folks are from.
Yes.
Right? So just that alone should give them pride, but to know exactly where you come from and be honored to know what you're a part of.
Yes.
So what do we have coming up next with you?
Oh man, well, I am going to experience Carnival. So I am jumping all the way in. So I'm jumping with Trini Revelers, and I'm going to be having.
So you're massing, girl.
Yes, yes. That is everything.
So let me ask you. So you've been in the States. So you had not gone back?
Well, I have been, but I've never participated in Carnival. And since I was small, well, as in around like high school, every time Carnival passed around, I would be sitting there in class, literally, and I would feel the beat inside of me. I would feel the music inside of me. And every year I would say, you know, I wish I was there. You know, I wish I was there. So I just made it. I said, you know what? To celebrate this 10 years of studying my family's history, let me celebrate in a huge way and participate in Carnival. It's a part of our history.
Absolutely.
You know, back in the 1800s, this was banned. You know, we were banned from being able to celebrate in the streets and for doing all of this, and the African drums and the rhythm sections. All that was banned, you know. So for us to have this freedom to express ourselves, to have fun, to dance and jump and play and chip, all of that is just to celebrate. You know, for example, like Jab Jab, you know, when you look up the history of Jab Jab, and you know, they covered it, well, it's Jab Molassie, but we call it Jab Jab because of, you know, the recent music. But when you see them covered in black, you're thinking, okay, what are they doing? But this is to represent the spirit of a slave that passed, you know, who worked in the molasses plantation, you know, and he was a lucky devil because, of course, death was so much better than being in bondage, you know, and a lot of people say that the lifespan for someone in the Caribbean, a slave, someone who was enslaved in the Caribbean, was 7 years. So you know, when you step on those shores, chances are you might have 7 years to live. You know, so when you see Jab Jab covered in all black and they're going down the street and they're disturbing the peace, they're supposed to disturb the peace because, you know, regular society was going on, slavery was legal, you know, at the time. So we do this to just disturb the peace because slavery was not right.
See, I didn't know what that was. I see it, but I thought he just put something on him just for fun. And now you told me what that meant. You see, because you were seeing all of this, Carnival is coming up, we're going to see folks posting social media, of course, is very prevalent, and everywhere. So I didn't know what that meant. So now you explain that.
There's a reason for all of it. There's a method to the madness.
Yes. And again, we know if you look at most of the flags of those countries, the black is always in there, and that is for the struggle.
Yes.
The red obviously is for the shedding of the blood.
Yes.
And so we all have that in common. Even the countries in the diaspora, they all mean the same thing.
Yes.
And thank God for emancipation and all of those things, but we still cannot forget. You know, as we start 2019, one of the things I smile because I said that's not that long ago when I see country says this is the 40th anniversary of our republic, and if you notice them, they have a pattern. 45, 43.
Yes.
That's not that long ago. I'm in my 40s, right? So it lets you know it wasn't that long ago when we just got something called independence. You understand how significant that is? And as you relate it to genealogy and where we all are from, that is so something that must be told, must be known. And I am just so excited about what you're doing, because this platform is going to expand more as we talk about how folks can reach you, but more about the process. Because I don't think sometimes when we hear this platform is out here to help search, that we think we will find our authentic folk. But I believe what you're telling me, we will. Even with hearing your story, Alison, and knowing that, you know, you're going to have your client. Well, I'm going to get ready to be a client, and you're going to show me how to do that. Because of my journey and being a speaker and a global person, I want to know as I'm traveling. You know? So tell us again how we can find you. And of course you'll give us your information in terms of social media and maybe how they can reach you directly to start that process. Well, on Facebook you can find me in the Caribbean Genealogy and Heritage Resource Center. So when you look that up, you'll be able to find the page, and you're going to get all the details. You're going to get so many content from Trinidad, so many content just covering Carnival and the history behind it. So it's going to be amazing. So Instagram and Twitter is also CaribResource, of course, which is short, for the full name. And then also Patreon is going to give you some really good details of my family history. So within Patreon, you just look for my name, Alison Ryce. So it's ALISONRYCE, which is a whole nother story as to why my last name is spelled RYCE. So, and YouTube as well, Alison Ryce. So you're going to see the beginnings of when I started with DNA testing, and I've interviewed a lot of family members there, and the journey in finding my ancestors. It's all there on Patreon, step by step. So yeah, it's a real fun journey. Well, it's been such a, we have a beautiful day in Decatur here. It's been such a joy talking to you.
Thank you.
You know me, I do events here in Atlanta, so you will be one person I definitely would want to come as a keynote speaker, because this is something that our folks, I think, should have access to, should know who you are, and know how you can help them trace their background. So it's been such a joy talking with you today. You've got me pumped up, because now I'm like, I get to finally find out where I'm from. You know, you've been living all your life, and then you get to say that. And said exactly where I'm from. And you know, like I said, my grandma, I asked her some things, couldn't tell me much, but I know now with my name, because I do have a unique name. I know that journey will be fascinating to find out.
I want to share one more thing. I'm also going to Barbados. So from Trinidad, I'm heading to Barbados, because that's where my paternal great-grandparents are from. So I'm going to finally see the land where they lived and where they moved from Trinidad. I'll be doing research there too.
Well, guess what? You're going to end up there for me too, because my great-grandmother is from Barbados. So and this is the thing, you can find it, we're like, we might be cousins. You never know. And that's why it's so important to know this and to have this and say we finally found those people that suffered, and what we are here for them and carrying their legacy on. So
definitely.
Thank you. So
you're welcome.
Audience, there you have it. We had a great talk with Alison Ryce. She spoke about genealogy, your lineage, where you come from, what you should be proud of. You know, Carnival is coming up, and as we know, we're all so proud, right? We're carrying the flag, but know what it stands for. Know what you stand for. Know where you come from. And more importantly, know that behind you, there was 4 folks before you who pretty much sacrificed life for you.
Yeah.
And so here we are talking about it. Alison can help you find that journey, find a great-great-grandmother, a great-great-grandfather, and know that you are here to carry on that legacy. So I love this platform because it is Caribbean Life. We were talking to a young lady from Trinidad and Tobago. And Caribbean Life TV, you make sure you keep in touch with us because we can have your story told here just the same. Follow us, Caribbean Live TV Global, that's on YouTube, Caribbean Live TV on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, my name is Sebrena Sumrah Kelly. I am your global connector. We just made a global connection here. And as always, everyone, live bold, and we'll see you in our next installment of Caribbean Live TV. Have an awesome day.